All right, good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Gold. As na all know, and now welcome to Kope Radio and Television station where they giving a back-to-back as they happen for this Obodo Nigeria, our country. Still on this Buhari administration, and I have with me Mr. Senator SHEHU Sani today. Now he could tell us what done they happen for Buhari administration. Now he could give us details how they happen for Buhari administration. The former senator representing Kaduna Central District. What do you have to say about Buhari administration for the past 8 years, sir?
Well, President Muhammad Buhari has spent 8 years in office. And there are two paths to which you can use to measure his achievements. One is putting his own track record in comparison with the one he inherited, and also tallying what he promised and what he delivered. These are two indices. Now, when I tweeted, my tweet is to reflect what is going on presently. For a government that has very few days to live, a lot of things seems to be happening. When they should be wrapping up and then working towards a handover to a president-elect who is from their party, but they seems to be doing things which they ought to have done many years or many months ago. At this very hour, you see them awarding contracts in billions of naira, and then they are also sourcing for loans from outside of the country. They are issuing out appointments and employing people and engaging in all sorts of things, which to me, I see it as a trap being set for the president-elect, which is Tinubu, as it is clear. All these last-minute engagements by the president does not seem to go in good path, because spokesperson after spokesperson, they keep telling us that we will miss Buhari, we will miss this government, we will wish that he is in power, as if they are handing power to Labour Party or handing over power to PDP. And when you say we are going to miss the president, when you say we are going to miss this administration, you are more or less predicting doom or telling us what we don't know. So I am saying this last-minute engagement and involvement and activities of this government does not seem to be one that can be said to be with good intention.
All right, Senator Sani SHEHU. The question number 2 is, we all know by next week, Buhari will be leaving the office for the new elect president to come on board. Now, what inheritance is he going to be leaving behind?
The incoming president, as far as what he is going to inherit as a country. And I know very well that there is going to be a tough time for Nigerians and also for this administration, for the incoming administration. If President Muhammad Buhari has done what he ought to do years ago, it could have been a smooth sailing for the next president. The next president is inheriting a divided country along sectional, ethnic, and regional line. The next president is inheriting over 77 trillion naira domestic and foreign debt. The next president is inheriting 133 million poor Nigerians. The next president is inheriting uncompleted projects and abandoned promises by this administration. The next president is inheriting a serious security problem that has remained unsolved by this administration. According to recent statistics, which was official, about 63,000 Nigerians were killed in the last 8 years of this administration. Kidnapping is still gone. Terrorists from Boko Haram to ISIS are still operating. So these are the challenges the next president is going to inherit. And meanwhile, remember, is it the IMF World Bank said in the next few months, about 96% of our revenue will be used to service debt. Now, this is what the incoming president-elect is going to face. So this is the kind of country President Buhari is leaving behind. And to me, I think the next president is not inheriting a plane, that's on a tarmac, but he is taking over the seat of a pilot while the plane is on turbulence, it's on storm. So I know that things are not going to be easy, because some of the hardest decisions this government ought to have taken, they refused to do it at the last minute. They couldn't remove the oil subsidy, which they are leaving it for the next administration. They couldn't conduct the census, they are leaving it for the next administration, and so many things. And you see them giving out contracts, you see them giving out employment letters, you see them sourcing for more loans. When we move from sourcing for $10-20 billion loan, we have gone to $800 million loan, which they have even reached a point that as if the country will not function if we don't borrow. So I think what I have seen ahead is a challenge, a tough challenge for Nigerians. And from what I have read from the president-elect, he has not been enthusiastic in making the kind of false promises that was done in the past, like making $1 to £1, or building refineries every 6 months. And I believe that by the time Buhari leaves power, there will be a lot of revelation as regards to what has actually happened in the last 8 years of this administration. And the best way to do it is for the incoming administration to come out openly and tell Nigerians the truth, what they have actually inherited. But if you cover them, if you try to protect this administration on the ground that you are from the same party, the roof is going to fall on the head of whoever is going to take over power in Nigeria after May 29. So that is my view. They should tell Nigerians the truth of what they have inherited, and if there is a need to immediately set up a committee or panel to probe this administration, all the laws that have been sourced and the projects they have been used for, and how the ministries, department of agencies of this government have been run for the last 8 years, this incoming administration must probe this administration if they are going to have the benefit of doubt and the leverage for them to be able to operate. But if you take over power and say everything is fine and good, then you should know it that you are going to bear the consequences.
Mr. Sani, there have been a lot of commissioning of roads, improvement on armed forces, and also the largest refinery in Africa have just been commissioned. So, what do you have to say about that, sir?
Apart from President Muhammad Buhari, the next person that speaks on the economy is simply the governor of Central Bank. It's like he is the prime minister of this administration, and everything about the economy centers around him. A government is supposed to have an economic team, an economic council, in which informed economic decisions are made by experts, by technocrats, by people who know what the economy is all about. But in this administration, who is the star in the economy? None. It's all about the CBN involved in infrastructure, the CBN involved in transport, the CBN involved in construction of bridges, the CBN involved in agriculture. So it's all about, it begins and ends with CBN and the governor of Central Bank. And that is why we're here. Now, it is not simply about you have constructed a second Niger bridge, or you have built roads from Kaduna to Abuja or to Kano or Lagos Ibadan. If those funds, if those infrastructures were executed with public funds and with borrowed money, people need to know how much was borrowed and how much of that money that was borrowed was used for such projects. It's very important. You can't pile up such a debt. Within the last 3 years, the current National Assembly has approved over $30 billion for foreign loan. So is it because we have built bridges and construct roads, so I should not, as a Nigerian, demand to know how much was used? Meanwhile, this money has to be paid. If we are going to pay this money, we need to know the cost of those projects that was done. And that is the first assignment of this administration. And again, you have seen things going on in speed. Approval for spectrum, Ministry of Communication, concession of airports, concession of ports, concessioning of a stadium, concession upon concession. It's all happening within the last few days and few weeks. And mind you, when you are concessioning, You're sitting down with those people from the other side. You are writing agreements, signing papers, legal papers, and then these are the kind of things that happened in the past. We wake up and then we hear that Nigeria has been taken to court in London or in Paris, and we have lost the case, and our account will be garnished with in billions of naira, dollars or pounds or euro. So to me, it's not about you have built roads. You built road with public funds, and you built road with borrowed money from China or Islamic Development Bank of Saudi Arabia or IMF or World Bank or Afrexim Bank. You build roads with money you have borrowed. So we need to know how much of that borrowed money was used for such project. So if you borrow and then you construct a bridge, so what am I going to do? I should thank you for borrowing, or thank you for building bridges, or thank you for borrowing and building bridges, or simply I should thank you for building bridges while I take the brunt of payment of such debt. So that is how a government, you have to answer questions. And one thing which they don't want us to know, they don't want to answer, is the money that was spent on projects. For example, now, in the last 7 to 8 years, over $20 billion was budgeted for defense. But what has it translated to in terms of security in the country? Boko Haram and other terrorist groups are still operating in northeastern part of Nigeria. In Kaduna here, as we are conducting this review, you can't move outskirts of Kaduna, 1 kilometer outskirts of Kaduna, for the next 1 hour without getting into the hands of bandits. Even if there is no bandits, you have fear that you will fall into the hands of bandits. What has such money, humongous amount of money that has been budgeted to defense and security, what has it been used for? With all respect, our military have been engaging the terrorists, have been fighting, and I must salute those who have the families of those whose loved ones have sacrificed their lives for this country. But if you look at the money that was allocated for defense in this country, then you look at the situation which you are in now, then you ask yourself a question. Nigeria's defense budget is 10 to 20 times more than that of Niger, more than that of Cameroon, more than that of Benin Republic. But those nations are more secure than we are. What have we seen? We have seen the army building event centers, the army building hotels, the army building universities, the army building all those things that have nothing to do with security in the country.
Thank you very much. With all said and done, this is going to be the final question, sir. And I believe you're going to give us a better answer on this. So now, how will Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is coming into power in less than few hours or few days to go, how is he going to reconfigure and restore the faith of the people who have lost hope in this country leadership? Like people like you, sir, you talked about losing hope about the administration. So how is he going to restore the faith of people, sir?
When you are being given a leadership responsibility like this, it's an opportunity for you to impact on the lives of people who have voted for you and those who have not voted for you. The first task of the president-elect is see how you can unite this country. With due respect to what has happened after this 2023 election. The next thing is to have a team that will really work for Nigeria. This idea of outgoing governors, sense of entitlement that they have worked hard for him to be president of this country, and as such they must be appointed into office. He will end up like the Buhari administration, keeping them in power as ministers for 8 years and achieving nothing. The next thing is he must prioritize what he needs to do, not 20 points agenda or 30 points agenda. We have problems with security, he has to address it. We have problems with the economy, he has to address it. We have problems with the educational sector and infrastructure. These are key issues that he has to put on front and then tackle them. And most importantly, electoral reform, knowing what has actually happened with the 2023 elections. I believe things will get better if we do that. And in every area you get expert. You can't appoint an outgoing governor, a minister, simply because he has claimed to have helped you to win election. If he has done that for the service of the country, then they should be expected to be appointed into any office. If they have done that because they are claiming that they supported him for nationalistic, for patriotic reasons, then there should be no expectation of any appointment. And I know it very well, especially the northern governors. Their own support for him is based on what appointment they are going to get. And if they are not going to get it, they will go back to whip up ethnic sentiment against him. That's a fact of the matter. So Bola Tinubu must pick a team that will really work for Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much. It's really nice to have you on our radio station today, Mr. SHEHU Sani, Senator SHEHU Sani. Thank you so much for joining us today. All right, my Nigerian people, now don't hear what did happen for this country. Now, I don't know how Tinubu won't take restore this country with all set and done, with all the all the bases with the ground, all the debt with the everywhere. I don't know how I want to do this country, but we all day on God. All I have to say is stay safe and be positive. Always contribute positively to the growth of this country. That's all I have to say. I don't talk my own and I don't close my mouth. Bye. Ọmọ ní ìfowóṣe ni.